Third World Cinema Club.
Hi guys, welcome to Third World Cinema Club. I'm John Tawasil from Present Confusion.
Hi, I'm Princess Kinok of Film Police Reviews.
Hi, I'm Jim of Jimmy Lee Collab, iba pa.
Ayan, today we're talking about the recently concluded Q Cinema International Film Fest. One of our favorite film festivals is back in online form. It was streamed via a locally produced medium, yung upstream.ph, parang project siya nila Quark Henares et al. And they featured a bunch, ganun, a bunch of films, both foreign and local, for Filipino audiences to enjoy. And for most Filipinos, this will be the first time that they will watch these films na nag-debut in either in previous Q cinemas, or this, for some of us, this will be the first time that they will watch new films from Filipino directors. And also, yung medyo hybrid siya no? They conducted online screenings of the films, and they also conducted theaters screenings. So, a glimpse of what the new normal would be like siguro in the future. Although personally, as a medical professional, nagsa-struggle pa rin ako with the idea of watching films in a theater, lalo na ngayon. Siguro manonood na lang ako at maingat pa rin kung nagka-vaccine na ako, na-vaccine na. Pero that's just me, Kayo guys, what were your thoughts about the Q Cinema Film Festival? And for siguro in particular, Ses, what's your take on the yung theater experience?
Yung physical, di ba, cinema?
Yeah,
Not totally cinema, but open air.
Open air cinema, yeah.
Oh, si open air. Yes, so I wasn't able to attend the first day, pero mas maganda naman um yung perception ko on the second day, which was for the premiere of Identifying Features tsaka Death of Nintendo. In fairness, as always, CQ Cinema naman kasi never silang they don't launch the festival unprepared. So ayun, as expected, everything went smoothly naman. Tsaka parang halos lahat kaming nandoon. Iisa kami nang iniisip na parang, wow, this may be the future of cinema, na parang open air na siya. Tapos hindi na siya kasing yung magkakatabi. Talagang magkakahiwalay na yung upuan, ganun. And yun. So, syempre, since QC ang yung protocols was there na parang kailangan naka-mask, bawal ang hindi mag-alcohol or ganun. So, yun. Ang problem lang for me was, of course, the projection kasi since open air siya, hindi siya katulad ng mga laser na cinemas na effective yung laser kasi kapag sarado di ba? So, doon, yun lang. Kapag kunwari, for a beautifully photoed or pictured film like Identifying Features, grainy kasi yung labas um, nung projection sa projector nila. So, hindi mo makita na sobrang ganda pala nung cinematography nung Identifying Features. Pero nag-effect siya dun sa Death of Nintendo na sadya na grainy yung cinematography. So yun. So other than that, okay naman lahat. It's a very exciting kind of experience din.
Mm.
Yun.
Ikaw naman, Jim, what were your thoughts naman doon sa online portion ng festival?
Syempre, iba pa rin siguro if meron pa rin yung physical cinema. Kasi ang Q Cinema kasi, aminado tayo dyan na ito talagang inaabangan na film festival natin. Kasi hindi lang siya nag-feature ng Filipino films na in competition, but also yung mga foreign films na usually, ito yung mga mahirap makuha ng mainstream cinema. I mean the malls, I mean yung mga films na pinapalabas sa mga malls or yung mga cinema sa malls, ganun. So, ayun, parang syempre nakakapanibago. Exciting kasi ang ang Q Cinema when it comes to mga wide selections ng titles, 'di ba? So yun, saka ano yan, tawag dito yung nakakamiss yung part na after the viewing or after watching a film and then may na-meet ka na film enthusiast, 'di ba? So you discuss the film after. Ganun. Hindi na siya kasi pag online na kasi either ikaw lang or may kasama ka like let's say break ko sa office, ganun. Doon lang kami nakakapanood. Ganun. And then may mga katrabaho kasi ako na nakaka-relate naman. I mean, nakaka-relate sila when it comes to film viewing na nakakapag-assess or critique. May part naman na parang hindi sila tawag dito, hindi nila masakyan yung film kasi it's a foreign film. So ganun. Kumbaga may ano na siya, parang meron ng barrier. Ewan kung yun yung tamang term. Kasi unlike kasi pag physical cinema, iba yung experience other than the online. Ayun.
Ayun. I agree with both your points, no? Iba talaga yung social experience ng seeing movies in a theater, no? Na may kausap ka afterwards. Kasi hindi pa rin siya na-match na kakapanood mo lang tapos pag-usapan niyo sa social media. Kasi hindi pare-pareho yung napanood nyo or hindi sabay-sabay yung pagpapanood nyo. Iba din yung parang discourse na experience ko when you're talking about a film online as opposed to in person. Pero yun that's a thought that we'll have to grapple siguro in the next 1 or 2 years going forward is yung mga ganitong setup. I think we're still trying to figure it out. Pero hopefully in film festivals to come and ako in my opinion, siguro as people gradually reduce na yung restrictions on travel, hopefully mawala yung virus pero alam mo yun, very wishful thinking yun considering yung situation natin ngayon. Ayun. So it's still an ongoing story and we'll see what will happen in the future, no. So without further ado, we're going to talk about some of the films at Q Cinema. We'll be talking about 3 films in particular. So yung caveats dyan, we won't be talking about yung films that we have covered before like Babae at Baril, Oda sa Wala, Cleaners, because we've already talked about them in previous episodes. Check nyo na lang yung aming tawag dito, episode on Q Cinema 2019. I'll probably put a link in the description so you'll go back to that episode and see our discussions on it. If I'm not mistaken, we had Ogs Cruz with us to discuss those films. Tama ba?
Dyan, nung 2018 yung with Ogs, then 2019 with the Richard Bulisay.
Si Chard pala yung kasama natin. Si Chard yung kasama natin sa 2019. So anyway, yun. And additionally, I guess we'll be talking a little bit about Midnight in the Perfect World by Dodo Dayaw. But we'll be dedicating an episode just for that. So watch out for that soon. So yun. So I guess we'll start with that, no? Thoughts about Midnight in a Perfect World. Ayun. Let's start with you, Princess. What were your thoughts on Midnight? Sige, Jim, ikaw na lang muna.
Regarding Midnight in a Perfect World, kasi napanood ko yung Violator, yung debut film ni Dodo Dayaw. Hindi ko bet yung Violator. I'm sorry, Dodo, di ko nasakyan. Baka makikinig ka, gano'n. At first then, actually, when I watched the first half, hindi ko rin siya masakyan yung film. And then may kasama kasi ako nanonood sa office during my break time, gano'n. Sabi niya, ano ba yung Kuya Jim, di namin magets kung ano yung message ng pelikula. And then, parang middle part na nung film, nawala na sila kasi may gagawin na sila, gano'n. So, yung mga, yun na, nung middle part, or in the second half of the film, ayun na, ko na siya, okay na siya sa akin, gano'n. Tapos, ang part pa na di ko masakyan with Midnight in a Perfect World nung una, ay yung the way na yung language ng character because, ano ba tawag dito? Borgis ba or elitisa kasi masyado yung mga character eh. But I believe it's Borgis kasi nasa working class naman yung mga characters, ganun. And then, nung second half na naging interesting sa akin yung part na curious si Anthony Falcon with the sound that he heard upstairs dun sa escape room.
Mm-hmm.
Yun, doon ako naging na-hook or nakuha yung nakuha na yung interest ko, ganon.
Breakout Manila in cinematic form. Charot, hindi. Joke.
Actually nga, pwede nga.
Charot
Ayun.
lang.
So,
sige, Jim. Tuloy mo lang.
totally ganon. So, ang naman dito, dun sa part na yun, yun na nga, inapukaw na interest ko. And unlike kasi nung Violator, talagang hindi, sorry, nagustuhan. So, ayun, ang na-appreciate ko with Midnight in a Perfect World, ang ganda ng cinematography. Even yung mga kasama ko while watching it, kuya, ang ganda nung pinapradam. Kuya, ang ganda nung shot, nung wide shot, ganyan, ang ganda nung ang ganda nga nung composition, ganun. And then, may napansin nga sila na yung scene na, spoiler alert, namatay si Anthony Falcon, may transition kasi dun sa editing. And yung mga kasama ko, when we watch it, sabi nila, para daw TikTok transition. Ako actually hindi ko siya napansin nung una na parang okay, balikan natin. Ay, oo nga, ang ganda ng transition. Ang ganda ng transition ng editing. So, kita mo kaagad yung technical aspect ng film na napakahusay. Yun yung yun yung tawag dito, yun yung mapupuri mo talaga with the film, ganun. And yun nga, the cinematography ni Albert Vanzon, ganun. And ang napansin ko, maraming maraming influence or references or maaring ginamit na element yung Midnight in a Perfect World. So, yun yung naramdaman ko on the first part ay parang Under the Skin, yung film ni Scarlett Johansson. And may partly nga may pagka somewhat A Quiet Place, ganun. Silent Hill and Cabin in the Woods. Yun. So dito, ang pinaka sa performances, ang pinaka humanga ako kay Glyza De Castro kasi drug addict hippie kasi siya. So parang okay, Glyza ang galing. Nagagalingan ako dun sa niya. Dun sa niya, portrayal niya, dun sa character. Even si Bing Pimentel, 'di ba, na the way she played the character na parang walang pakialam, basta siya makasurvive, gano'n. Yun ang important sa kanya. And nung nabasa ko nga rin yung mention ko na rin si James. I agree dun sa may mga symbolism, may mga metaphor yung film, gano'n. And surprisingly, may pagka-political din yung film. And I believe brave ang film dun sa message na niya, kino-convey niya or pinaparating niya sa audience. Ayun.
Okay.
Ay.
Sige, Ses pa
Ayun.
naman.
Ayun na.
Ay, sorry. Sige, go. Ako, anything that I'd like to add to that. Siguro sa na lang, on a different time. Pero basta sa akin ang MVP ko dito si Bing Pimentel.
Okay.
Siya talaga. Ayun.
In fairness. I agree naman with Jim. Yun nga, I'll reserve my deeper thoughts siguro on the dedicated episode. Pero I think it's a very well put together film. It's one of my medyo narrow yung playing field ngayon, pero it's one of my favorite feature lengths na local of 2020. Although sobrang limited ng talaga. It's na hindi naman siya patama sa Midnight. Parang siguro even in 2019 it would still be somewhere near the top. Pero it's more streamlined compared to Violator.
Yeah.
In which in that respect I like it a little more. And I like yung parang mas parang may consolidated vision siya kaysa sa Violator. Kasi especially in the first half of Violator, it's just atmosphere building. Parang establishing the world pa lang siya doon until it goes to yung part ni tawag dito ni Joel Amangan sa prison. Here talagang meron siyang may paano ba sabihin, may through line siya or basta may line of parang may narrative line siya that goes through the whole thing, that you know that this is taking place in a bigger world. This is just one small story in a bigger world, and that people pero it's still coherent in itself. Parang magigets mo siya. Kaya actually Jim, ako din hindi ko masyadong, although I love Violator as a horror film, I think it's one of the best local horror films ever. Hindi ko siya masyadong masakyan in a movie sense. I don't know how to say that. Pero yun, I like both films, and I think I like this a little bit more. Yun lang.
Okay.
So with that said, let's go on. We're gonna discuss 3 particular films from the film fest itself. The first film is Death of Nintendo by Raya Martin. So actually, I haven't seen Death of Nintendo, pero Princess and Jim have seen it. Could you, I guess Princess ikaw, could you tell us a little bit about Death of Nintendo and then what you thought about it?
Okay. So, Death of Nintendo is Raya Martin's feature film with Black Sheep. I think iba yung writer nito, hindi siya nagsulat. Pero basically it's about a group of kids that were living the experience during the 90s. And hence yun nga yung title niya na Death of Nintendo, because everything na 90s related was in there. So Pinatubo, yung mga ang tawag doon, yung pang Nintendo na na disc, basta yon. So yung mga video games, tapos mga yung basically the youth during the 90s, parang it was told in a way na medyo coming of age siya for the 4 kids na bida. Tapos ayun, so nothing really groundbreaking about the film, except I would like to parang sa akin pinaka commendable yung production design niya, kasi marami nang lumabas na na 90s themed na film na nostalgic, ganyan. Pero siya very smooth nung nostalgia niya, kasi wala ka talagang mahanap na problem about the production design, from the ang tawag dun, game consoles to the sari-sari store, na halos lahat ng items dun is 90s na brand, ganyan. Yun, very siya, very pulido. Tas yung performances ng mga bata, surprisingly, although alam ko Raya Martin has already directed kids with ano ba yung film niya before na parang period setting na may mga bata.
Yung ba yung Independensya ba yun?
Independensya. May mga bata doon, di ba? Pero dito, ang galing. Sabi ko, I couldn't imagine him directing kids, kasi, it has, although, siguro pwede, kasi with his films, you have to have that kind of patience, di ba, minsan. So, parang siguro siya, innate na yung patience sa kanya, di ba? Ganun. Ayun. So, yun. Okay naman siya. You have to watch it sa cinemas. I think I can't imagine watching it sa smaller screen, kasi ang ganda ang ganda-ganda ng kulay nung the way
Yes.
na kinolor siya. Yun. So ikaw, Jim, anong masasabi mo about Death of Nintendo? Since ikaw naman sa smaller screen naman yung version mo.
Oo, kasi thankful ako kay Rafi because nagkaroon ako ng access to watch it online, ganun. So, konti lang kasi yung napanood kong film kay Raya Martin. So, I'm not that familiar with his filmography. Ang napanood ko lang naman sa kanya is smaller and smaller circles. And ito nga, Death of Nintendo. I like Death of Nintendo than smaller and smaller circles. Maybe because original screenplay kasi ang Death of Nintendo. Unlike kasi ng adaptation, mahirap yung adaptation na ginawa for smaller and smaller circles. And just like what you said, it's nostalgic. Yun ang gusto ko sa Death of Nintendo. And ang maganda doon is vibrant yung film. Ganun. So madadamo mo talaga yung youth. Yung energetic siya. For me, it's energetic. Ayun. And I agree as well doon sa sinabi mo na maganda yung production design niya. Kasi ang other Q cinema film na set in the 90s na feel mo talaga na 90s siya, yung Bill and Emma by Samantha Lee. And it was also successfully done by by Death of Nintendo. Ayun. Tapos ang napansin ko dito sa film, nag-stand out si Kim Chloe Oquendo. Yung babae na bata na siya lang
Yung
yung babae dun sa
only girl.
only girl dun sa
Oo.
magbabarkada na lalaki. Kasi
Correct.
subtle yung acting niya, hindi siya yung alam mong tawag dito yung OA, hindi ganoon eh. Tawag dito subtle yung acting niya. Ganun. Hindi mo nahalatang uma-acting si ate. Ayun. And
Mm.
then, well, magaling naman talaga si Noel Comia Jr. Talagang
Mm.
reliable yung actor yun. Tapos may mga moments sila Noel Comia Jr. and Agot Isidro na talagang tawag dito, may kurot sa puso because it's mother and son relationship. Ayun. Tapos nakakagulat na doon si Nikki Valdez. Nagbaganap na siyang
Mm.
ayun. Tapos nandun pa rin si Angelina Canapi na as usual, scene
Alam mo
stealer.
na. Oo, scene
Ganon.
stealer.
Scene stealer talaga
Perfect
siya eh.
term, scene stealer.
Oo. Saka si Moy Bien as
Yes, si Muy
Yaya.
Bien. Oo.
Ni Noel Comia Jr. saka ni Agot Isidro. Ayun. So, another napansin ko dito kasi si Elijah Alejo, napapanood ko na siya in Prima Donnas, yung TV series in GMA. Dito, namamanifest pa rin ni Elijah Alejo na yung galing niya in acting. Ayun. So, may mga napansin lang ako dun sa film na, well, i-enumerate ko na lang. So, mayroon kasing eksena dun sa film, yung nag-uusap si Nikki Valdez and yung mga anak niya. Napansin ko yung Spam and Irish Spring na naka-arrange siya, naka-setup na parang stylized.
Oo.
Yun yung napansin ko, di ba?
Saka yun
Mapapansin
yung
mo.
usual eh, di ba? Kapag sa mga TGIS dati, ganun, stylized yung pagkakahanda ng ano.
Oo, kaya taray,
ng food.
naka-stylize.
Oo.
Ganon. Tapos, mayroon eksena doon na naglalaro ng Game Boy, walang cartridge.
Totoo?
Yung
Saan?
napansin mo doon sa film.
Anong scene? Ay, sorry.
Naglalaro
Talagang-
sila naglalaro yung mga bata.
Sa may dulo ba yan?
Bandang siya not dulo, bandang kalagitnaan ng film.
Okay.
Ayun.
In fairness napansin mo pa yun
Saka
Ano-
yung ang another na napansin ko yung more on, I think this is geography or the Milu, no?
Ay,
Kasi di ba pinatubo siya, pero
yes. So,
halata na sinut siya sa
geographically.
Rizal.
Yeah. As
Rizal.
in, may ang tawag dito? Yung sa jeep, nung may ginawa
Oo.
sila.
Saka yung karatula pa lang dun sa jeep, makikita mo, junction.
Floodway, junction. Oo.
So, alata mong Rizal, hindi siya pinatubo. So, yun lang, medyo dapat when it comes to, I think, geographical factor or the Milu, dapat siya, careful yung filmmaker, especially kapag familiar yung
Yes.
audience with the
Oo.
geography. Ayun.
Oo. I think, nakausap ko si Chard niyan eh. Parang after nung screening, sa Twitter, minessage niya ako kasi nga, yung ending, napansin ko yung, parang, perfect na siya kasi, yun nga, very nostalgic. Tapos, ang closing music mo pa is Eraserheads. So, parang napag-usapan namin kung ano yung music na yun ng Eraserheads na feature. So, tapos yun nga, ang problema lang din namin talaga was yung location kasi parang unless hindi ka talaga taga Pilipinas, 'di ba? Pero feeling ko kaya siya dinagdag kasi very heavy yung pinatubo ng 90s, 'di ba? Tapos yung brownout, yung consistent na brownout talaga, 'di ba? Yung blackouts because of the although hindi siya connected mismo sa pinatubo na kaya nagkaka-brownout dito sa Maynila. Pero yun, I think, yun na yung point nila na, parang metaphor siya na, okay, parang coming of age film siya. So, pati yung location niya, nagbabago din na parang kailangan mag-adapt to the times na, environmentally changing na siya, ganyan. So, kaya I think, sinama niya yun. Although, alam naman siguro nila sa crew na malayo ang pinatubo sa sa Pasig. O sa Rizal.
So parang
Ayun.
ang ko lang doon was that yung concern ko baka kasi may mga familiar na audience with the location.
Oo, maano lang
And
sila.
maaring behind the scene din kasi pinag-usapan na rin yan. Maybe nagkaroon ng issue with the location, hindi na sila makapag-shoot with hindi natin alam
Sa
kung time
Bataan
restriction.
mismo. Correct.
Mm-mm.
Correct.
Ayan.
Ayun. So, overall, very good film. Hindi ko talaga akalain na magkakaroon ng ganitong movie si Raya Martin. Kasi very talaga siya eh. Siya talaga yung indie cinema nung early 2000s. So, but yeah, maybe there's a little din naman eh. May mga konting quirks pa rin na signature style niya. Like yung sa umpisa, yung parang mapapagano ano daw? Yun, yung 'di ba yung kinukuwento niya na ayun. Yun lang.
Yan. So, ayun, let's move on to the next film. This film is a 2019 film. It's called End of the Century or Fin de Siglo. It's a Argentine romantic drama film by Lucio Castro. So, it stars a man named Ocho who hooks up for a casual encounter with Javi, and then the both of them realize that they've met 20 years before their meeting. So they've met before. So I guess Jim, what are your thoughts on End of the Century?
Um, tawag dito. For
Gusto
anything
ko
else,
yung
nawala ako eh.
gusto ko
Sorry, nawala.
gusto ko yung napabuntong hininga si Jim.
Napaisip. Sorry naman, nawala ako. Ganun. Before anything else, napanood ko na kasi siya through online streaming. So, nirewatch ko siya. Thank you for for Q Cinema. Dahil napanood ko siya ulit. It has kumbaga na-achieve pa rin niya nung pelikula when I rewatch it, yung same feeling that I had with the film, no? Nagandahan ako with the film. Kumbaga may mga elements ng film na I felt poetic. Ganun. Tapos, yun nga nung pinag-uusapan namin ni Rafi itong End of the Century, I agree with him na meron siyang partly na mayroon siyang feels na may pagka-certified copy ni Abbas Kiarostami. No? Although ito kasi mas accessible siya rather than certified copy. Yun. And ang natatawa lang ako dito with End of the Century kasi di ba dun sa part na before the first sex scene, may may advocacy, di ba? Huwag kang makalimot ng proteksyon. Kailangan bumili ng condom.
Oo. Wait lang, ganon.
Wait lang, ganon. Pero ang maganda pa din with End of the Century, ito yung part na when you read the book, ako aminado, when I read the book, ayoko yung part na let's say in Da Vinci Code, yung dadaanan mo pa yung architecture, yung description nung yun nga, yung architecture, like even yung, let's say, museum. Pero dito, in End of the Century, di ba yung space, even yung architectural part or architectural factor nung setting, na-appreciate ko siya because siya tawag dito, ito yung part sa movie na widely appreciated because hindi lang siya nag-focus with the romance nung dalawang leads, no, but also dun sa place. I mean, like may part dun yung sa rooftop lang pero makikita mo agad yung architectural factor, and then dun sa museum pa lang makikita mo na when they had a dialogue dun sa museum, mayroon parang art appreciation nagaganap. Kaya, di ba? Dun sa when they had a dialogue, yun nakakatuwa with End of the Century. Tapos, ano nga tawag dito? Kaya rin namin parang nasabi na parang it's like certified copy. Kasi parang nung, di ba, after they part ways, may parang natisod siya ng duck, na toy duck, something. Ganon. Tapos, nagulat na lang ako na, sila ba? Parang, syempre kung hindi mo siya napanood or naintindihan ang una, di ba may asawa si Javi? may nagkakwentuhan sila sa rooftop na parang may asawa si Javi, may anak sila, pero hindi si Ocho. Tapos din yung mapapaisip ka na, okay. Okay. Gets. May ganun parang, okay. May ganun na factor. And, ayun, ang maganda din with end of the century, ang isa pang film na it's not naman comparing, 'di ba? Kasi both films naman ay maganda ay yung Weekend. Although kasi with Weekend, more on ano siya, more on the dialogue, no, and the emotions, no, which ano naman captured naman also by end of the century. Yun ang nagpadagdag talaga sa flavor or yung ganda ng pelikula ay yung ano, at katulad na banggit ko kanina is the location or the place at witness nung ano nung love story na it could happen or not happen. Ayun.
Okay. Ako personally, I like the film a lot. It's a lot of people are pointing to the scene with a flock of seagulls.
Ayun, oo nga pala,
like a clean.
the dance sequence. Oo,
Yeah.
maganda rin yan.
Ako personally, hindi ako masyadong sold dun sa particular scene na yun, pero everything that happens after that, yung sinabi mong natisod siya sa dock, that's my entire favorite part of the film. Kasi the film doesn't outright tell you what's what. It could be a fantasy, it could be an alternate reality. Kasi there's a really great review over on siguro Letterboxd that says parang gay romances in a way are a fantasy in the sense na they're trying to have this romance pero ang daming what ifs and ang daming balakid doon sa romance na yon in terms of will this be accepted by society, will we see each other again. So a lot of people a lot of people are living these romances na parang in another time, in another place, this would not have been possible. Ganun.
Yes.
So it's a really fascinating meditation on the nature of falling in love, and especially in an LGBT context, kasi may dagdag na may dagdag na something yun, of course, kasi the parang falling in love for them has a different parang resonance compared to like straight people, ganyan, kasi there are a lot of additional things that stand in their way. And it's lang na yung song na yun na Flock of Seagulls, it really encapsulates parang people just casually slowly falling in love with each other na they don't and unfortunately yun nga, the tragedy is because some people are in the closet, because some people cannot express themselves as who they are. All of these chances for this this fantasy life are not fulfilled kasi society does not want these people to be who they are, and that's a really sad thing, a real tragedy. And din from the title, end of the century, there's also a little side plot here in the film na I think Javi is trying to make a documentary about the year 2000, no? It's also about transitions from one state to another. Para siyang it's how people transform each other through the years. It's parang we live life in this continuum, tapos they're broken apart into these little moments that change things irrevocably. And you can see that in the film structure as well. Doon sa the dance scene in particular, diba? That one is the kumbaga metaphorical end of the century. That's the end of that you can see it's the end of parang reality into fantasy, or the end of fantasy into reality. You can also read the film as parang Ocho and Javi really hadn't met 20 years ago, and he's trying to project that possibility onto his true love. So talagang hindi si alam mo 'yon, parang casual encounter lang talaga niya siya. And yung the guy that he met 20 years ago was a completely different person that he never saw again. And it makes that particular reading makes the film actually a lot more tragic. Pero yun,
Yes.
I like it. It's the kind of film that you'll think about for a long time after you've seen it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree as well.
Uh,
Kasi naalala ko ng 2019, madaming gay films din naman na remarkable din. Nandiyan yung And Then We Dance, which also Q Cinema featured no last year. And Rocketman, yun yung mga naalala ko. But then End of the Century stands out or stood out because yung treatment niya, it's not the ordinary love story. Parang it transcends time. Because nandun yung ano nga, di ba, yung um, inaano niya, binabali niya yung fantasy over reality, reality over fantasy, ganon. And from the title itself, di ba, sinabing End of the Century, Javi mentioned that they met 1999. So that time, end of the century na yon. Transition na siya between the 2000 and 2010 kasi 20 years after nag-meet sila ulit. Ganun. So it could yun nga sabi ko yung romance it could happen or it did not or it happened or it did not happen. 'Di ba? Ganun yung maano mo with End of the Century and yun kaya napakaganda ng pelikula.
Ayun. So, ayun. Let's move on to the last film. Cess, do you have anything to ano?
Wala, tumawa lang ako.
Tumawa ka lang. So I guess let's end this short episode with another film from 2019. This is one of my favorite films in the festival. It's Corpus Christi. It's a 2019 drama film directed by Jan Comasa. It premiered in Venice in 2019. No, it's about Daniel, who's played by Bartos Bialenia. He's a juvenile delinquent who has a very violent history. Pero in the juvenile detention center, he gains a spiritual awakening and he wants to become a priest. But unfortunately, because he has a criminal record or at least a record of a record like that, he cannot become one. He's advised by his priest that he will never get into the seminary or something like that. But when the opportunity presents itself, when he's assigned to a job in a sawmill in a small Polish town, he becomes the parish priest, and he helps a community begin to heal in the process. Ako personally, I'm not Christian, I'm not Catholic. Pero if I were to show people about the redemptive power of forgiveness or about true Christian values, this is one of the films that I would like to show. It's a discourse on it's a discourse on religion itself and of sin and sinners. Kasi there's this very popular passage, hate the sin pero love the sinner. Pero that isn't if you research it, it isn't actually referenced directly in the Bible. Walang direct quote na ganon. Pero
Yes.
sinners will be punished, ganyan. Pero if we really love those who sin, those who have sinned, and those who are legitimately trying to be better in the world, doon lang tayo makakakuha ng, parang doon papasok yung catharsis eh. Kasi otherwise, pag nagkikimkim ka ng galit sa puso mo, if you hold grudges, if you keep that within your heart, walang mangyayari sa'yo. And that's what happened to the community in Corpus Christi. And hindi naman, David's character is not portrayed as saint-like. Hindi siya santo. He still smokes, he drinks, he does drugs. Yung parang he does things that a normal priest would not be able to do. And I've seen reviews that point out yung parang parang hypocrisy, ganon, inherent in yung mga ganitong hierarchical structures ng religion. Although your mileage may vary in that regard. Ako, yeah, I see it especially considering the context na Poland is one of the most religious countries in Europe. Very very deeply Christian yung lugar na yan. And in a way it's also reflected in its conservative government. So it might be pointing to something bigger like that. Pero additionally, if you just look at it as a very personal story about this man who honestly just wants to do better, pero the system is rigged against him for some reason. Ayun. It's a bit bleak if you read it a certain way, pero ang ganda niya. I mean, I was blown away by it. It's one of my favorite films here in Q Cinema, pero I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. Jim, how about you?
Nasimulan ko lang yung Corpus Christi. Kasi di ba yung na sabi kong issue ko na hindi ko nalaman na nasa may show pala siya nung G-movies. So nung nasimulan ko siya, nasimulan ko siya, I have napanood ko yung kasama ko yung workmate ko. I mean yung katrabaho ko.
Mm-mm.
And then nung una kasi akala niya nung sinabi ko na Corpus Christi yung panonoorin ko. She thought na Christian or faith-based yung film. Sabi ko, hindi. Hindi po siya faith-based film. No, it's not. Ganun. Tapos yun nga, I agree with you as well. Kasi may diniscuss kasi sa film like yung religious hypocrisy. Especially kapag, may mga tradition in a religion na accustomed na ang isang community or isang tao, di ba? And then babaliin ng isang tao katulad nung ginawa ni Daniel kasi di ba ang ginawa niya is not the usual ritual in Catholic, ganun. Dapat pag nag-sermon talagang sermon, dito hindi di ba yung he said na you have to pray with your heart, hindi siya yung kunyari ama namin, no, it's not like that. Talagang you have to pray it the way na you want to pray. Hindi yung tawag dito ceremonial or ritualistic, ganon. Ang may naalala nga ako sa kanya yung the way that yung style niya kasi di bang nangyari nun, inadapt niya rin naman yon with a priest. Yung priest na nandun sa juvenile, ano ba tawag doon? Dun sa juvenile detention. Diba? Yung tinuruan siya So, inadapt niya din yun. However, makikita natin na flawed yung character ni Daniel kasi before he went to the community, nakikita natin, nakikipag-sex pa siya, nag-yoyosi. Actually, dun sa part na nasa community na siya, bumili pa siya ng yosi or ng sigarilyo Ganun na nakita na siya ng tao. So, alam mo na yung mga tao, judgmental because pari siya and then ganyan, diba? Yun. So, another thing na I could say, siguro mako-compare ko with Corpus Christi, yung The Apostle ni Robert Duvall. Although with The Apostle ni Robert Duvall kasi, he's a pastor. However, ang flawed naman kasi ang flaws ng character ni Robert Duvall ay nakapatay siya ng isang member because naging kabit ng asawa niya. Then, tumakas siya, he escaped, or umalis siya dun sa place nila and then nakahanap siya ng isang parang small town din, just like Corpus Christi, na may church pero walang pastor. Dito kasi meron pare, in Corpus Christi may pari, pero kasi yung pari ay, yung head priest ay may sakit. Diba? So, siya yung pumalit. Kumbaga in The Apostle, siya na yung tumayong pastor doon and then naging naging successful yung pagiging pastor niya. However, hinuhunt pa rin siya ng past. So yun yung parang nakikita kong similarity of The Apostle and Corpus Christi. Pero sana kung natapos ko siya, I think mas mabibigyan ko siya ng ng mas malawak na na review. However, hindi ko kasi natapos kasi nga hindi ko akalain na may ganun palang part sa upstream or sa G-Movies na nasa may show lang pala siya.
Ses, how about you? Have you seen, na-start mo ba tong Corpus? Or,
Ay, hindi ko siya naabutan.
okay. So,
Pero mukhang interesting naman.
ayun no, I also have to, also have to point particular attention towards, Bartos Villalenia. Yung very expressive face niya, very large, kind of sunken eyes, no? Very,
Oo. Mm-mm.
oh. Parang,
Fairness.
at a certain angle, kamukha niya si Obama, pero white Obama. Parang ganun. Pero,
Actually, dyan, para siyang hollowed eye na Al Pacino, nung mga younger version ni Al Pacino, ganun. Makikita yung expressive yung eyes niya, kita mo kaagad yung angst. Ewan ko yun yung nararamdaman ko while watching him as Daniel.
Parang tama lang kasi parang ang dami na niya, yung character niya supposedly dapat marami ng pinagdaanan sa buhay, no? So, yun. If you ever manage to catch Corpus Christi, please go watch it. It was selected for last year's Academy Awards for Best Foreign Film. It was submitted pala. I'm not sure if it made the shortlist, pero ang daming pelikula nun. So anyway, that ends our short Q Cinema discussion. We hope you enjoyed the Q Cinema films that were offered for this year. Hopefully, they still have another edition next year and hopefully under better circumstances. Ayun. So, ayan guys. Thank you to both of you for coming. Ganun.
Thank you for
Kwarto mo pala to.
coming. Parang Marcel Soriano lang. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
Classroom
coming.
mo. Oo.
Parang yung parang
Dapat
episode
may
natin
pa
kay Direk
ano.
Manet, para
Oo. Dapat may pa
kakaibang
yung ending parang pang SM. Ganun.
we've
Yung
got it
nagsasa-
all for you.
Yung
ganun.
nagsasara na yung mall.
Ah,
Thank you for shopping naman yata.
Thank you for
yun.
Ganun, oo.
thank you for
Here
shopping
at
at Q Cinema.
Charot. Ayun, thank you din. Thank you guys. Tsaka thank you rin
Thank
of course
you.
kay Q Cinema because kahit na wala siyang main competition films this year, they tried. They really, really tried. No?
Yes.
Thank you to Sir Ed,
Sir Ed
Yes,
Lehan.
yes,
Annette,
Miss,
yes.
ano po, Monet.
Kelly.
Kelly,
Kelly.
yes. And the
Thank you.
QC City Hall team.
Peeps,
Yes.
yeah. Parang they never, ever since yung, I think second or third Q Cinema, they've never disappointed
Mm.
the way the
Yeah.
festival. So, ayan guys, we will soon be talking about another online film festival that's been going on recently.
Thank
Wink, wink.
you.
Ayan. Ayan. So, until next time, bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.